Hey there, couple quick notes that I neglected to mention in the deck profile. First off, a shout out to Cameron who lent me that awesome mat. I didn't shout him out specifically. I totally forgot my mat, so he bailed me out. Second, thank you to everybody who brought food and snacks. A lot of people who weren't even in the tournament. That was super nice, and you guys know who you are. And then also a shout out that I've done the last 2 years and neglected to do, but a shout out to my now wife, Angelina, who totally supported theory crafting decks up late and doing Master Duel testing and spending a lot of time doing Yu-Gi-Oh this year. She put Yu-Gi-Oh and the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament in her vows, and she totally came through and supported. So love you, honey. Thanks, and enjoy the deck.
What's up, everybody? This is year 12, and I actually did something this year. So it was another good year. I played Melodious, and so I'll just quickly go through the deck, talk a little bit about some of the experiences during the tournament, and give some shout outs as well. So I won't talk about the standard stuff just because it's standard. You play 3 of the good cards because they're good. Not a lot of people run 3 Soprano, but I wanted a really high Melodious count. Usually people run 14, and I thought 15 was fine, especially with Soprano, because what happens is if you get hand trapped, if Refrain gets hand trapped or Ostinato gets hand trapped, 3 Soprano and 3 Sonata, you can normal summon, special summon, and now you have a fusion play. You have Baka still. So it's basically like these 12 are like your pseudo starters. 1 cannon for the same reason, and it also just allows for Baguska lines to be easier because you can end on a board. I didn't do it today, where you end on Baka, Baguska, Etoile. I think some people have heard of this, right? So the Baguska negates all negated effects, but Baka prevents the activated effects from being negated, so you can still Etoile. So that's a fun little interaction there. And then the 1-ofs, 1 Chupina, and 1 Aria, busted, but everyone kind of plays those. Same with these, 3 Ostinato, 3 first movement solo, and then 2 Concerto. So a lot of people, some people run 1, and in testing I found that if your couplet gets negated, it's really nice to have a hard drawn Concerto to like bait a hand trap and then Concerto anyways, and it came up a lot today. Also, because I'm running Pot of Prosperity, it's the first non-engine card I'll show. You can't draw cards by card effects. So if you Prosperity, you can't Concerto add back. If you Concerto, you can't Prosperity. So you have to do this on your next turn, which means you're down a Concerto. So having another one accessible, if you can't get this, I thought was important. So 2 was, I would not change that. And then the other non-engine cards are just hand traps. 3 Imperm, 3 Veiler, 3 Ash, 3 Orange Light. Orange Light was a very impactful card, and I learned that you can do it in the damage step, so that was fun to just learn about the deck as the tournament went on. And then I decided to main 3 cross out for 41 total. This was talents for a while. It was like 2 talents to be at 40. It was 3 of another hand trap, and I decided that just having a little bit of protection, because this deck can just, certain hands can lose to specifically 1 Imperm, and talents doesn't stop Imperm. So if I'm gonna have a card, I wanted it to be the most high impact card possible. Also, I just wanted to play Designator because I think it's kind of fun. So, and it worked out. It allowed me to play, I think, twice. And it has some utility for going second as well, which we'll get into with the side deck eventually. So 41, and then extra deck is pretty darn standard, honestly, so I'll just kind of breeze through it. 3 of the Baka, 2 Schuberta, 2 Etoile, and then 1 Bloom Diva, which was super important. I just felt like this was a really strong card. A lot of people don't have outs to this. I highly suggest playing this card if you can make room for it. It's really impactful. And then the 1 Bloom Harmonist, 1 Gravity Controller. This comes up if your Baka gets impermed. I don't need to explain those ones. Everyone runs these ones. But Haggard Lizard Dose clears your field, so you can do Ostinato. This is just a generic fairy pop. And then Underworld Goddess does come up because a lot of times you have 4 monsters. So you can get rid of problem monsters and then usually continue playing after. So that was a really good choice. Same with Typhon, Super Busted, and Baguska. I went into him in my last turn before in the championship, but it didn't really matter. But in theory, against certain matchups, the standard line with the Aria lock and all that stuff may not be good, and you can go with the Baka Baguska line. And then side deck, to amplify first, Call By, and 3 Judgment, and then 3 D Barrier. I just felt like most decks were going to be like Fusion, XE. I was expecting some Synchro combo in our tournament. I sided it in and it was useful against Nathan. I ultimately ended up losing that, but it was helpful. And then Judgment to protect against things like Dark Ruler, Evenly, Dark Hole, just all that stuff. I just felt like that was going to be prominent in our format, and it was, so this was helpful. Just a funny anecdote against Trevor in the, I think, was it the final? Mm-hmm. He double Dark Rulered me, and I had the Judgment, and that was a game I also resolved Crossout as well. So, like, the side and main did their job. Just, you know, sometimes not enough or whatever. So that was mainly the going first stuff. And then for going second, 3 Evenly and 1 Harpies. I just felt more protected having 1 Harpies, like 1 back row remove, and I was glad there was 1 Dynamorphia deck in the tournament. So yeah, Evenly was good. Yeah, it's just good. And 3 DD Crow, I felt like this was a really good hand trap to side in if I felt like, honestly, first or second, but against some decks, I felt like this was more impactful than other hand traps. And then the last card is a Ghost Ogre. And this single Ghost Ogre is in here for 2 reasons. 1, last year, Ian Welty ended my chances of topping with a single main deck Ghost Ogre against my Zeus. And it cost me the game, and I thought about it all year. And so I'm citing this in memory of, and also in spite of, that moment. The secondary reason is I had 1 spot, and because I'm running Crossout, Ogre is strong against certain moments if they hit the couplet and scale, blah, blah, blah. So if I was really scared and they had used Ogre before, which no one used Ogre against me, you can side it in with Crossout, and then you're protected from it. So that's the side deck. That's the deck overall. I'm really glad I ran this deck and not Crystal Beasts, because this deck was, honestly, it was also really fun to play. It was very interactive, a little too interactive for a format that doesn't have time rules maybe, but really fun games. I felt like I got the hang of the deck. It's really non-linear, and just had a lot of fun. And some shout outs. It may sound corny a little bit, but shout outs to everyone. I tested with Trevor this year. I tested with you a couple times. Ian Welty, Lucas Welty. We played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, talked a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh. I really got into Yu-Gi-Oh this year, and then a special shout out to my brothers as well. We talked without sharing too much, you know, like I would ask like, hey, should I side this? I don't know, like not knowing what really anyone was playing because nobody like shared that information. But just talking theory and stuff. I even talked with Aiden, so shout out to him. I know he wasn't able to join us. But that was just kind of fun to just dive into Yu-Gi-Oh this year. So shout out to the bros, and for them having a great tournament as well. So thanks everybody.